Alright, this is Kevin Douglas. We're playing some Merfolk in the Vintage Practice Room tonight. We're on the draw. We got 3 Cavern of Souls and 2 spells we can't cast with that. I think we have to mulligan.
Starting at just $4.99 each at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing.
So that's not good either. Now we have no land. Otherwise this hand would have been pretty good, I think. So we'll have to keep here. It's not too bad. We're going to be able to cast the Curse Catcher. We do have a Wasteland. We basically just need to find another island. So I'm going to put that on the bottom so that we can get to that island a little bit faster. So they're just going to lead with an uncracked fetch. And they're kind of paused at our upkeep here, so maybe they're going to try to go for like an Ancestral Recall. They did take a little bit of a time to start the game, so maybe they're just getting some lag on their end or something. We did draw a Force of Will. That's pretty good for us. So we'll go ahead and get this Curse Catcher out. So now we've at least got a little bit of interaction. We have the Wasteland, we have the Curse Catcher, we have a Force of Will. Hopefully we just draw into an island here pretty soon so we can at least cast this Master of the Pearl Trident. Kind of with how our hand is shaping up, if I have to pitch anything to the forest, it's probably going to be True Name. I think I let him Brainstorm here. I could have countered it with a Curse Catcher, but they cracked their fetch. If they don't have another fetch, then they're Brainstorm locked. And the way that they cracked that fetch and found a basic makes me wonder if they're not trying to play around Wasteland and really just digging for another land, which it kind of looks like maybe. So Lion's Eye Diamond. Maybe we're playing Storm here. So Curse Catcher, Force Will, both pretty good. In this matchup. So I think we're just going to Time Walk here. Oh, we can't, because we need that blue mana for casting a spell, which we can't make from Cavern of Souls. So unfortunately, we just get to attack right now and pass the turn. So there's Voltaic Key. I think I let that resolve. and fight over the other piece if they try to cast it. And that way I can, you know, if they don't have the other piece of this combo, then there's maybe no point in, you know, Force of Willing it, because I can keep this Force of Will for something that's an actual threat right now. And then I can always just keep this Force of Will if they actually do have the Time Vault. So we're getting kind of awkward with our land here. But it's going to keep them from at least playing lands and keeping them, unless they're able to play basics. Alright, so they're just going to pass. Oh, nope, actually, so they're waiting during their upkeep. So here's a Mana Crypt. I think we say okay. Makes me wonder if they're not like a Paradoxical Outcome Storm deck. I still think we're going to say okay to these. I, you know, don't really like forcing any of these right now. Yeah, especially when it looks like they're going to be going for a Paradoxical Outcome here. Unfortunately, we just have the one Force of Will. In Curse Catcher, they're going to have plenty of mana to pay for that. And I think we pitch... I don't know that we need True Name here. I think I'd rather have the Time Walk. So I'd love with 2 cards in hand and no colored mana. So unfortunately they might have a... if they have another one, they're going to be able to play it next turn. So there's our island, and I think I Time Walk first. So maybe try to find another Force of Will. Or maybe like a Null Rod. Kind of a bummer when we only have 1 power on the board, but I really kind of want to draw into something relevant. So Echoing Truth's not really what we're looking for here, I think. So I think we just waste that library, play the Master, and just kind of hope that they don't... so they're not going to be able to untap the Grim Monolith now. Unless they want to crack that Lion's Eye Diamond. So there's Ponder. There's really no point in wasting the Curse Catcher on that. So we'll see what they do. Looks like they chose not to shuffle and they drew. It's usually bad for us. So we'll see if they wheel here. That might not be that bad for us. So we did draw the Force of Will. We'll see if they have a Paradoxical Outcome. Unfortunately, like most of what else we drew is kind of useless at this point. Like a lot of dead cards, but the Force of Will and the Silver Adept is good. So do we want to discard this hand, then draw? 7. So I guess the risk is if I force this and they have Paradoxical Outcome, they're going to be able to Paradoxical Outcome. They have the mana for it. If I don't counter this and they didn't have a Paradoxical Outcome, they could draw into one and we might not get any interaction. But our hand is not great. So if we force this, you know, we can't close them out next turn. I think we say okay. So it's a much better hand. There's the Null Rod. If they can't go off this turn, then I think that we're in really good shape. It's possible that I wanted to force that, but again, if they had it, then... So here's where Curse Catcher is going to be really good if they try to... So we say okay to Time Vault, and if that's all they have, then we're actually looking pretty good right now. So there's Tendrils, and I think we're going to be left with 1 life. Because we can Curse Catcher one of those. And then we're going to get to play a Null Rod at 1 life. So we might just squeak this one out. It's going to be pretty crazy.
Spotify is proud to welcome our newest sponsor, Blue Apron.
Alright, so Cavern on Merfolk.
Fisheries and ranchers to bring you all the ingredients you need to incredible home-cooked meals.
I'm gonna run out the Curse Catcher first, just in case they try to counter the Null Rod.
Discover how fun cooking can be while enjoying specialty ingredients and exploring new flavors and cuisines. Get your first 3 Blue Apron meals free, plus free shipping by visiting blueapron.com/Spotify.
And then I'll leave the island up for the Mental Misstep. Yeah, so I'm really liking how I'm playing this game here. So we'll see if they can draw into anything. And with these Lords and Phantasmal Image, we could be in a pretty good spot. And I think I'm just going to play it safe and probably just double waste their lands here. I just don't want them getting up to Paradoxical Outcome mana. Yeah, so with these Lords, we're going to have a pretty good clock going. So we're going to swing in for 3 this turn. We're going to be able to play 2 Lords next turn if we wanted to. Possibly swing in for 10. But I think we might just play out 1 and still leave up the Mental Misstep, just in case they have like a Chain of Vapor. Because that doesn't really increase our clock any. We're still looking at 2 more turns after this. Alright, we did win that one. We survived the Tendrils with Storm Count 10. Seems pretty good. I don't really know that the sideboard that I have built is really any good against this deck. Bring in Steel Sabotage, but other than that, maybe the only relevant things that I have are, Graph Digger's Cages in case they have Yawgmoth's Will. But that's pretty narrow, and I don't really know if there's anything that I take out for it. Maybe the Echoing Truth? Echoing Truth could hit Defense Grid. Do they run Defense Grid? Yeah, I think we just stay with this. We're actually not too badly set up against the Storm deck anyway, with how many Mental Missteps, Force of Wills, and Null Rods we have. Flusterstorm, it's almost like we're like a little bit, we're almost like pre-boarded against it. So I don't think we have to sideboard very heavily. Man. I think we have to mulligan this. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious we have to mulligan it. We don't have any way to cast any of our spells, but it's tempting with that Null Rod in hand. You know, all we need is one more land and then not to have a counter, which seems like it's asking a lot. So we'll go ahead and mulligan, which is much better. I think I can put that on bottom, just in case I can draw into like a Force of Will to really make sure this Null Rod gets through. So mulligan there was rewarded with a now a turn 1 Null Rod, hopefully. But we don't really have any way to interact if they're able to go off on their turn 1. Which unfortunately Paradoxical Outcome Storm is not too bad at doing. So there's Time Walk. So they have 3 cards left in hand. They have Paradoxical Outcome mana. So now it's their extra turn. Here we see Black Lotus, Underground Sea, 2 cards left in hand. So there's Yawgmoth's Will. Now they get to Ancestral and Time Walk again. So they're going to see our Null Rod. Well, between the 2 Ancestral Recalls and the Gataxian Probe and the 2 Time Walks, I'm pretty sure we're just dead here, if they even need to Time Walk. So they already saw our hand, so I'm just going to go ahead and F6 just because they know that we can't interact. So they have Mind's Desire for 6. So let's see what we have exiled. I see Time Vault. I see Time Twister. So there's the Time Walk. So take next turn. Here's Time Twister. All we got was a mental misstep out of that. So I'll stop F16 now. Just because I don't know what's in our hand. So there's Memory Jar. There's a pretty good chance with the Memory Jar that we're going to be able to at least find a Force of Will. But I think at this point, with how many cards they have out, what we've seen, and the fact they have 6 cards in hand, I think we've probably just lost this one. Looks like they're going to probably tinker into the other half of the Time Vault combo. Nope, Inkwell Leviathan. Interesting. So I'm not sure why they wouldn't have just gone into the other half of that Time Vault combo there. Seems like finding Voltaic Key just kind of... well, you know what? I guess that they need some way to win with the Voltaic Key Time Vault combo. And attacking each turn with an Inkwell seems pretty good. So here's a Force of Will. I don't think we can beat this Inkwell Leviathan though. So I think we're just gonna say good game here. I don't think we need to kind of watch them do their thing. So seeing that Leviathan, we could bring in like a Hercule's Recall. I don't think we need to though. I think we'll just try to prevent him from kind of getting that far in the first place. So this seems like a pretty good hand. I think we keep. And I think I just lead out Island, so I can leave up Steel Sabotage, have Mental Misstep, and Force of Will. I can pitch Lord of Atlantis, and then have Ancestral Recall to rebuild my hand. Seems pretty good. It's a little bit slow. So they did mulligan. They did think a little bit about keeping their 6. And looks like they left a card on top. So there's a Git Probe. We'll go ahead and Mental Misstep that. So I'm kind of hoping they go for a duel here so I can wasteland. So we're going to steel sabotage that. And landed a Null Rod. So that was a great draw. I was going to wasteland their Volcanic Island, but this takes them off 1 mana anyway. So there's 1 red.
This is Sandra.
Hi there.
Sandra has a few things in life she isn't sure about, like what wine to order.
There's so many, and I'm not.
Maybe playing like
Sandra does know is that the experts at
so
NerdWallet.com
Shattering
make
Spree.
finding the right credit cards easy.
So I think we force this.
Preferences, NerdWallet.com does a personalized search through over 1,700 credit cards to find the ones that match you best.
Now that makes me wonder if I should have wastelanded there,
But I'd prefer if you didn't.
and then
It's better. Visit NerdWallet.com to make sure you have the credit cards that work best for you, because nothing beats knowing.
yeah, I think we still force here. I mean, if they have to pitch something to force here, I mean, they don't run that many blue spells, and they're down to 3 cards, and they had to pitch another Force of Will. Yeah, so now they're down to 1 card. They're going to be down to just a Mox Jet. And we got this Ancestral Recall. So we could be in a worse spot. It does make me wonder though if I could have like slow played a little bit more, wastelanded the Volcanic Island, but then I guess they would have had the Force of Will. So we're going to Ancestral Recall first. And then I am going to wasteland. Put Cavern on Merfolk. And then just kind of hope that we can draw into either another land or some Merfolk we can cast. So I'm just going to counter that just so that it, you know, just kind of slow him down a little bit. So it's kind of ironic drawing. I mean, we can cast the Phantasmal Images, but we just don't have anything to copy. So drawing land here would be pretty good. Cast True Name this turn, and then 2 Phantasmal Images next turn. But honestly, just trying anything that kind of lets us get a clock going. Or Null Rod would be good. Black Lotus is pretty good. So sometimes there's an issue where if I already have mana in my pool and I go to cast a spell, it just automatically uses that. So I want to make sure that I get this True Name out. Alright, so we got 2 True Names going now. And now, hopefully that's just going to be a fast enough clock. So Defense Grid, I don't care about that at all right now. So I don't think that's too bad of a thing for them to play. Yeah, now basically they're just going to have to... Oh. Yeah, so now they're going to have to win this next turn. And I'm gonna leave this in my hand just in case. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter because of like I can present like Mind Break Trap, but it's not like they're not going to go for it. But I think it's probably still fine to keep in my hand. All right, good games.